everyone. I'm Megan 18, and I'm your host for today on the Megan 18 Experience. For today's show, we are talking to Fabrice 18. For that, we will be talking about his latest film called The Most Hated. Fabrice, how have you been?
I've been good. I've been good.
Well, that's good to hear. My first question is how does your product use or challenge conventions? And how does it represent social groups or issues?
Hmm, good question. Good question. I think in terms of conventions, my film uses multiple conventions at first. The first convention is an actor that is dealing with a life situation that portrays a realistic characters in conflict with either themselves, others, or forces of nature. To prove this is the case, you can see Ryan Johnson, which is the protagonist in my film, running and hiding from Kai Young, who is the antagonist in my film. Now, the reason why Ron Johnson is running and hiding from Kyle Young is because Kyle Young is intending to hurt Ryan. Hence why in the film you hear him say, and I quote, "Where are you, nerd? No matter where you hide, you'll still be subjected to this pain." In general, Ryan is dealing with the common issues of bullying, which we see in the film. Another convention that you can see in my film that also correlates with drama is highly emotional themes. For that, the characters showcase a type of emotion throughout the film. To prove this is the case, Ryan Johnson showcases the emotion of being scared. For that, it shows him running away from something that he's afraid of, which you see at the beginning of the film. Another example of a highly emotional theme being presented in my film is when Ryan Johnson is kind of having a panic attack while he's hiding behind the bushes during the opening sequence. To expound more on this, you can hear him breathing in a frantic way during this current situation. One thing that I would like to mention is that Ryan Johnson isn't the only character that is showing a sign of highly emotional traits. For that, Kyle Young also showcases some sort of emotional trait throughout the opening sequence. To prove this is the case, you can see Kyle having a frown on his face as he's looking for Brian, which shows his type of mean type of demeanor. Now, to answer the second part of your question, my film specifically represents the social issues of bullying. You see this through most of the scenes in the opening sequence, which we see Ryan Johnson running away from Kyle Young. We see Kyle Young intending that he is going to actually hurt Ryan Johnson throughout the opening sequence. I think this is a good thing in term. I think this is a good thing because it brings awareness to the problem, which such institutions such as school systems and even sports teams kind of are complacent in the problem of bullying. And the problem with that is that they do not actually solve the problem, or a matter of fact, not even sometimes even bring awareness to it. I hope my main goal for this film is to raise awareness for this and possibly spark a solution to it.
All right. Another question I have for you is how does your product engage with audience and how would it be distributed as a real media text?
Another good question. Well, to answer the second part of your question, my film would and has been distributed through YouTube, since YouTube allows people to upload videos for free without charge. Also, another reason as to why I would use YouTube to distribute my film, because I believe that it would get the most looks at on the platform, since my first film that I had put out this year has 1,168 views. The last reason as to why I would use YouTube, because nowadays people use the platform as a way to stream their favorite shows or films in general, which brings more exposure for that film at the end of the day. One thing that I would like to mention about this is that my product, of course, will be distributed through my blog, which means that people who have access to my blog will also be able to see my film. Um, the reason for this is because it provides a brief summary of the film, which I think comes in handy because it helps viewers if they have a problem of grasping the core concepts of the film, essentially. Also, another reason why I would use my blog as a way to distribute my film is because I've been using my blog to distribute my films, and I just don't think it would have been I don't think it would be an advantage to distribute my film on something on another platform that I'm not used to when I have a busy schedule and tons of schedule conflicts all the time, which essentially pulls me out of my original schedule plans. In general, it'll mean that I don't have time to learn or to adjust to the new platform of providing to distributing my film essentially. Now, to answer the first part of your question, I think my film engages on two things: the title sequence and the first few seconds of the film. To go into more details about this, the title sequence brings in the audience through the hip hop type of beat that is placed in the title sequence, which can bring in fans who kind of have a love for urban music nowadays. I would also say that the opening sequence draws the viewer's attention as well because of the current events that are taking place at the beginning of the opening sequence, essentially. To expound on this, viewers will be interested at a scene where a young teen is running away from something that might seem frightening from the character's point of view. This would lead to people drawing into action, into questions, I would say, and them asking themselves, such as, why is the character in the film running? Or what is he running from, essentially?
My third question for this interview is, how do your products production skills develop through this project?
Yeah, I would say that my production skills have excelled tremendously throughout this project. To prove this is the case, I have learned that when implementing music into your film, you need to make sure that a scene or words in the film correspond to with the beat of the music in a concise way. To draw a bigger picture of this, you can't add the title of the film during a timestamp that doesn't excuse me, that doesn't correlate with how the music is going. For that, you should add the title of the film when there's a pause in the song and then a huge drop of beats after that, which you can see this in my film during the title opening sequence. I think this skill is crucial in terms of producing a film because when the music in a film doesn't add up with the titles or the scene, it seems kind of nonsensical at times from the viewer's point of view. Another skill that I have learned throughout this project is that every genre has its own type of vibes when it comes to the title sequence. To expound on this, you may remember that in my title research blogs that certain drama films have things that correlate only to a genre, which could be a showcase of one's emotion or even social, physical, and mental problems that a character has to deal with or may be dealing with. It's because of this that I have learned that my title opening sequence needs a way to convey drama, which I try to show my film. Another way that my production skills developed throughout this project is my filming skills. The reason why I say this is because of the camera shot and movement that I filmed, which was the over the shoulder shot and the tilt. To expound on this, I filmed a scene where there is an over the shoulder shot, which occurs when Ryan Johnson pokes his head out as Kyle Young is leaving the area after he fails to find Ryan. Now, on the tilt, I filmed that as a way to introduce Kyle Young's character by showing his physical and strength and features, and of course his mean demeanor, as like I stated earlier. I think that filming these type of camera shots and movements means a lot because it's not an easy film. It's not an easy thing to do as someone who's filming a tilt. Filming these type of camera shots filming a tilt on over the shot shoulder on your first try as a recorder, which proves that my filming skills have excelled throughout this production due to the fact that this isn't my first go around in terms of filming something. The fourth way that my production skills have increased throughout this film is that my editing skills. To expound on this, as you may remember from my editing blog, music video, and final task editing blog, I've stated in both blogs I finished one third of the project that I was working at hand. Yet in the final task editing blog, I stated that it took me 1 hour and 30 minutes to get one third of the film done, which essentially means that I spent 30 minutes less on editing for this particular project compared to my music video. In general, it shows that my editing skills have increased to the point where it takes me less time to get more work done when it comes to the production of a film. The fifth and last skill that I learned throughout this film is that the skill of going with the flow, which essentially means being able to adapt to problem situations that present themselves, really comes in handy. whether that be adopting to new schedules that are in place or changing the use of music by an artist or even changing what actors will be present in the film. It definitely helped throughout the entire production of this film, which I have to say that all of these problems were present during the production of this particular film.
My last question for you is, how did you integrate technologies in this project?
Well, I think that people at home watching knows that I have to use a standard camera to record the necessary scenes for my film, of course, which I'd use my phone as a method to record all my scenes for the film. Now, you may be asking yourself, why didn't he use a standard camera that is equipped for recording instead of his phone? The reason for this is because I don't have the money to buy a $300 camera that can capture people in film in a 4K visual. Also, I think there's inherent advantage on my side in terms of using my phone as a camcorder. The reason why I say this is because the first two films that y'all have seen from me were recorded from my phone, which says a lot about my recording skills and quality of an iPhone camera. Also, another way that I use technology for my project is by using my laptop to import my scenes from my phone and export the film once I was done editing it. The third way that I use technology in the production of this film is by using Clipchamp, which is an editing software that I was able to edit all the scenes for the film as well as the music video and Powerade commercial that I had to put out a few months ago. Now you may be asking yourself, why does he keep using Clipchamp and not switching to another editing platform for once? The reason why I keep using Clipchamp is that Clipchamp offers a variety of functions and add-ons that makes one film stand out from the rest. From the multiple title designs that one can use for their films to the option to put a certain scene in slow motion or even the chance to add in music for free of cost is something that I can't pass up, especially since I don't have the funds to use a well-known editing system that usually costs tons of money. Another way that I use technology for this project is using Blogger to update you and my fans on the production of the film, which came in handy throughout this entire school year. For that, I have been able to update you on editing slash filming processes, schedule changes, and in the additions of actors in the mix of things. The fourth way that I use technology for this project in particular is using websites that informed me on how title opening sequence should be in the film, which I have to give credits to websites such as The Art of Titles and Watch the Titles. To go into more details on how these specific websites helped me for this film, the websites provide examples of not only how an opening sequence should look like, but what a title opening sequence should look like for a specific genre. For that provides examples of certain genres and how the filming opening sequence may differ from another film that has completely different genre. The fifth and final way that technology was a factor in my film was the use of YouTube. For that, I've used YouTube to upload my film, which you can see if you search up Ace Media Studies Final Task on YouTube, which you can see it from my account, which is Fabrice18.
All right, there you go, guys. I will see you guys back on next Tuesday, and see ya.